welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different, almost like an institutional audit.
Right.
We are going to try and cut through all the complexity of organized sport. The goal isn't just to see who achieves excellence, but really how these massive, expensive systems get built.
The systems that produce, the Olympic champions, the world champions.
Exactly. And our source material for this is fascinating. It's basically the blueprint, taken straight from a leading syllabus on sport and physical education.
So it's the architectural plan for creating medal winners.
That's a perfect way to put it. Our mission is to take this very detailed map, all the policies, the pathways, and make it immediately understandable. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the most fundamental question. When we use the term elite performer, what does that actually mean according to these sources?
Well, the definition is incredibly clear, and I think it immediately sets the tone. It's all about scarcity.
Okay.
An elite performer is explicitly described as someone who has reached the very top of the performance pyramid.
That pyramid image is so important, isn't it? It's not a wide field at the top.
Not at all. It visually represents that exclusivity. It means you're not just good, you have, and this is the key phrase, reached excellence, the absolute pinnacle.
And that's not just a feeling, right? It's tied to measurable, globally recognized standards.
100%. It's not subjective. They're recognized as being of national, international, or Olympic standard.
These are the people we see on TV.
The very same. The ones competing at world championships or the Olympics themselves. And another crucial point the sources hammer home is the financial side.
Ah, yes. The money.
They typically have professional status. They are paid for their performance, for their full-time commitment.
That distinction feels critical. This isn't a hobby they do on the weekends. It's their job.
It is their job. And this leads to the final, maybe most important part of the definition, the thing that underpins this whole system we're about to analyze.
Okay, what's that?
Reaching this level is an accomplishment for only a very, very small number of people, a select few. The entire system exists to find and support maybe, 1/10 of 1%?
Wow, that really sets the stage. So if the whole point is to produce this tiny handful of champions, many countries adopt this strategy, this philosophy called the elitist policy.
Yes.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because our sources describe this as a double-edged sword.
A great description.
So let's look at the sharp side first. What's the argument for concentrating all your resources at the very top?
The rationale is it's pure optimization. The policy is all about concentrating funding and resources. The best coaches, the best facilities, all the science support on the athletes and teams that have already shown the most potential.
So you're not spreading your resources thinly across the board.
Not at all. You're making a calculated, heavy investment in what you see as your proven performers. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy for a nation's sporting image.
And the goal is bigger than just medals, I assume.
Oh, much bigger. The stated aim is to maximize success, and with it, national pride. A haul of gold medals can mean, political leverage, global soft power.
And inspiration, right? That's always the argument.
That's the other key benefit. It creates inspirational role models. The theory is that seeing a champion on a podium inspires millions of kids to go out and try that sport.
Okay, that sounds pretty ruthless, but I mean, it's also logically sound. But if you pour everything to the tiny tip of that pyramid, what happens to the base?
And that's the other edge of the sword. The biggest, most critical drawback is the systematic neglect of grassroots and mass participation.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Every single dollar that's spent on an Olympic team's custom-built recovery pod is a dollar that's not being spent on a local school's sports program or public parks.
And that starves the base. So you're making a huge bet on your ability to spot talent really, really early.
You are. And that's a huge risk. The policy often fails to cater to the average person or even the developing talent pool. You miss the late bloomers, for one.
The ones who don't peak at 16.
Exactly. And second, you just shrink the statistical pool you're drawing from. Over decades, that's not sustainable.
That's the risk to the talent pipeline. But the sources also hint at an impact beyond just sport, a public health issue.
A major one. If general PE and just, recreational sports are defunded to pay for elite training centers, you create a massive imbalance.
So you get a few superhumans
And a population that's potentially less active and less healthy. The sources are pretty clear that this can lead to potential health issues in the wider population. It really makes you ask, what's one gold medal worth if the country is less healthy overall?
That is a fascinating and difficult trade-off. Okay, so let's say a country decides to go for it. They've adopted the elitist policy. They want medals. What has to be in place? What are the 5 absolute foundations, the essential provisions they need?
Right, so if you're serious about this, you need 5 key components, and they all have to work together. They're the bedrock.
Okay.
The first one, no surprise, is sufficient funding. And we're not talking about small grants. This is serious capital to cover massive costs. Things like stipends so athletes can train full-time, global travel, specialized equipment, and hiring the best coaches in the world.
Without the money, the whole thing just stops before it starts.
It collapses, exactly.
So that money buys the inputs.
Yeah,
How does it then translate into the uh, physical environment for the athletes?
that's number 2. High-quality facilities. This means world-class training venues, modern gyms, top-tier competition arenas, but it's more than just a nice place to work out.
What do you mean?
This is vital for developing what the syllabus calls data skills.
Data skills. That makes it sound less like a gym and more like a laboratory.
It is a laboratory. That's the perfect way to describe it. These modern facilities are completely integrated with technology.
So what, like cameras everywhere?
Motion capture sensors, biomechanical force plates, all sorts of sophisticated testing equipment. The athlete learns to analyze their own data, their joint angles, their power output. You move from training based on feel to training based on hard data.
That's a huge shift. Okay, so that's facilities. Provision number 3 moves from the environment to the people. High-quality coaches.
Absolutely essential. The coach at this level is a master strategist. It's not just about motivation. They need to provide guidance in 3 specific areas: technical, tactical, and psychological.
Can you break those 3 down for us quickly?
Sure, so technical coaching is about the mechanics. Refining a swimmer's hand entry to save 1/100th of a second.
Go.
Tactical is the game plan. How to pace a race, when to peak for the Olympics, how to compete against a specific rival.
And psychological.
That's maybe the hardest part.
Right.
Managing the immense pressure, dealing with failure, staying focused for a 4-year cycle. It's incredibly demanding.
Right. And all that training needs to be tested.
Mhm.
That brings us to number 4.
High-level competition, exactly. You can't get better if you're always the best person in the room. You need regular, tough competition against other elite performers from around the world.
Which means more money for travel.
More money for travel, it all connects. It's about honing your skills under the highest possible pressure.
And finally, the 5th provision, the one that sort of ties it all together with a scientific bow.
That would be the comprehensive science support. This is the engine room of the modern sports machine. It's a whole team of specialists.
Not just a team doctor.
Oh, no. The sources list them out specifically: medicine, biomechanics, rehabilitation, nutrition, and psychology. Each one is a dedicated expert optimizing one part of the athlete's system.
So biomechanics is tweaking technique for power. Nutrition is fueling the machine. It really is a total integrated approach.
It's the relentless pursuit of marginal gains. Every single element is measured, analyzed, and optimized.
Okay, so we have the definition of the elite performer, and we have the 5 foundations needed to support them. Now let's trace the map itself. For an athlete just starting out, what does that structured pathway actually look like?
It's a very formalized journey. They call it the pathway to the podium, and it's designed to be a clear, progressive system.
To stop talent from falling through the cracks.
Precisely. And it all begins with early development in schools and clubs. This is where foundational skills are learned, where you hopefully develop a love for the sport. It's the widest part of the pyramid base.
The entry point. But in an elitist system, how do you efficiently filter that huge pool down to the very few?
That's the next stage: talent identification and academies. This is the filter. It involves formal selection procedures, talent ID programs,
Tryouts, basically.
very intense data-driven tryouts. The athletes with the most potential are then often moved into these specialized academies, sometimes residential ones.
It's amazing how engineered it is.
Yeah.
It feels less like a kid's dream and more like a corporate succession plan.
That's a great way to put it. The next step in that plan often involves higher education and scholarships.
So college sports.
Exactly. Universities provide a path for that continued development. An athletic scholarship is key because it lets the athlete train at a very high level while also getting an education, which is a crucial safety net.
And the final step, the leap into the big time.
That is national system integration. This is where the whole thing is managed by the national governing bodies, or NGBs.
The central power.
The central power, the ones who control the funding. They select athletes for regional and then national squads, and they provide that final, highest level of coaching, competition, and support. This is the last door you walk through to become an elite performer.
It's a perfect circle, that, isn't it? The NGBs, funded by that elitist policy, provide the 5 essential provisions to support the athletes they found through the pathway.
That's the system in a nutshell.
All right, let's do a quick recap of this deep dive. We define that elite performer as that rare, paid professional at the very top of the pyramid.
A select few.
We weighed the pros of the elitist policy, that national pride and focused investment, against the significant cons, like neglecting grassroots sports and public health.
The double-edged sword.
And then we laid out the blueprint. The 5 foundations funding, high-tech facilities, expert coaching, top competition and science support, and the 4-step pathway from a local club to the national squad.
I think that covers it.
So connecting this all back, it leaves me with a really important question for you, the listener, to think about.
Go on.
This entire massive, expensive system, the pathways, the funding, the NGBs, it's all designed to produce excellence. But the very definition of an elite performer rests on them being one of a select few.
On that inherent rarity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how much do these top-down systems really foster or engineer greatness? Or are they just incredibly efficient, very expensive machines for identifying talent that was already there? A rare, almost accidental genius.
What's the balance point? Does the talent find the system, or does the system truly create the talent?
A powerful paradox to think about. A fascinating look at the business of building champions. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.